Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's event focusing on digital transformation of the manufacturing and logistics sectors. We are still waiting for people to join, so we can still wait a couple of minutes to allow everyone to join, and then we'll start. I think in the meantime we can start. So thank you again for joining. We are thrilled to have you join us for what promises to be, I hope, a highly engaging and informative session. This event is part of a series of B2B matchmaking events organized by us, Digital SME, and European Entrepreneurs CEA-PME. So just to give you a brief overview of our work, we at Digital SME represent European companies and especially small and medium enterprises in the digital sector. While European Entrepreneurs CEA-PME is the European Confederation defending the interests of SMEs of all sectors. So having both in mind the challenges that SMEs face, among other, for example, access to finance, access to market, bureaucratic burdens, while trying to keep up with the technological developments, we have decided to organize this series of events. This one is the second one. That can basically help connect digital providers with companies and let them bridge the technological gap. So why we are here today, as we all know, the ongoing digital transformation is more than just an opportunity for companies. In fact, it is an essential pathway for SMEs to boost their competitiveness, to enhance their operational efficiency, and also to contribute to a more sustainable economy. So basically, this is also the aim of the event. For this reason, we also find that it's crucial that SMEs not only keep up, but lead in adopting digital solutions and innovative technologies. We can move on quickly to the agenda, so you can have an overview of the event. So first of all, I will give a brief introduction about our matchmaking platform, which is SME2B. So you know how it works and how you can have successful bilateral meetings in the second part of the event. Later on, we will have a fireside chat with Cesare Dunker, who is Policy Officer at the European Commission, and Edgara Skirkonis, who is a digital innovation expert at Sunrise Valley Science and Technology Park. And lastly, we have invited also three SMEs to showcase their digital solutions and share with us also concrete examples of how digitalization can drive businesses' efficiency and growth. Before the event officially kicks off, I would also like to encourage you all to engage with the speakers by asking questions throughout the event. You can use the chat or the Q&A box we have here. Or you can also, in case you have any question that comes up after the event, you can reach out to them. I will share you by email all their contacts and also the presentations, so you can have all the, also the material once the event is ended. And as for our matchmaking platform, so as you probably have seen since you have registered there, you can see the list of participants on the tab in the event page. You can still invite other participants for bilateral meetings, which will take place from 3 to 5 p.m. So if you didn't do it yet and you still want to book some meetings, you are still in time. You just have to check the list of participants, invite them, and once you have invited other participants, you will see that your request is pending. And once it's accepted, you will receive an automatic link to then join the meeting. Other feature that I think can be useful in this sense, you also have a messaging feature, so you can always reach out to other participants in any moments. You can also, for example, if you are looking for specific services or products, we also have a filter feature on the left, so you can easily find what you are looking for on our marketplace. And let's see. But in case you have any issues, I will share with you later. We also have an email you can contact us during the matchmaking session, and we will try to address any issues that you may have with the bilateral meetings. Now moving on to, and sorry, before I forget, you can also, you should also have received an email with a recap of all your bilateral meetings. If not, I will send it again before the first part of the event ends. So you can find there a recap of the meetings you have booked with the timing and also the link to enter this meeting. In case you didn't receive this email, you can always check on the platform. You have in the agenda section, you have this tab, My Agenda, and there you can see all the meetings you have for today. Moving on, so officially starting with the event, I will leave the floor to my colleague Giulia Tampetti that will moderate the fireside chat.
Thank you, Sofia. Hello, welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you will enjoy today's event. So, as Sofia rightly said, my name is Giulia Zampetti. I'm Membership Services Manager at European Digital SME Alliance. And today with me, I'll have Cesare Dunque, Policy Officer at the European Commission, and Edgaras Truconis, Digital Innovation Expert at Sunrise Valley Science and Technology Park, which is one of Digital SME members. So Cesare and Edgaras, hi, hope you're doing well. Maybe I'll start from a question to Cesare. So Cesare, you recently co-authored the Advanced Manufacturing Study in partnership with the Joint Research Center. Can you tell us a little bit more about the findings from this study and anything interesting that you identified, basically?
Yes, indeed. Hi, Julia. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for the invite. Very happy to be with you this afternoon. So, indeed, as you mentioned, we have authored a study which is essentially focusing on advanced manufacturing. But perhaps before I go into a little bit more of the details in precisely what the main messages or some of the key takeaways were from that study, it might be useful just to kind of contextualize where the focus came from, where the study came from, because it reflects a slightly broader view of where we're going and where we also potentially would be going with the new European Commission once the college has been established. So, as everybody knows, what one of the big things on the Commission's agenda these days is focusing on how we can support competitiveness. You'll all be familiar with this Draghi report, which put a big emphasis on competitiveness, and it's really within that work that we're focusing on advanced manufacturing as a lever or as a pillar to enable European competitiveness and to make sure that our industry, maintains a foothold against fierce competition, of course, coming from Asia and, of course, the United States. So it's a little bit within that context that we've established the report. The report really stemmed from a discussion that we had in what's called the Industrial Forum. One of the key findings was that simply there wasn't enough industrial data specifically on advanced manufacturing. So there was a direct call from industry to start producing some more data. So with that, we then produced this report, which really, again, it serves to help kind of conceptualize or maybe have a little bit of a high level perspective on what's happening in what we kind of identified along with the Joint Research Council as being advanced manufacturing. But of course, it'll be very interesting also later on to really get a feel from what's happening on the ground, what works and what doesn't work from also experts focusing on the ground solutions. But just to kind of keep it a little bit high level, then in the report, we first of all started with trying to really understand what we mean when we talk about advanced manufacturing. So of course, definitions are never perfect, and when you work with data, it's never perfect. But what we kind of tried to do was have a little bit of a broad approach. So we wanted to capture within our kind of firm sample not only firms that are original equipment manufacturers or manufacturing firms that are using advanced technologies for manufacturing, but also firms that are manufacturing those advanced technologies. So just to give you the example of, if we take robotics, for example, within the study, if you are a firm manufacturing robotics, so a little bit more on the supply side, you'd be captured. But then if you're also a firm manufacturing utilizing robotics, you would be captured in the sample. And that doesn't just go for robotics, that goes for a host of different technology areas specifically for manufacturing. So that's AI, robotics, including technologies such as 3D printing. And you'll see in the report a list of the technology areas that we understand combined with manufacturing then becomes advanced manufacturing. So that's just kind of setting a little bit of kind of who we're actually talking about when we're talking about advanced manufacturing players, just for this kind of specifics of that report. So some of the main findings really of the report is it's not all doom and gloom. We hear a lot of kind of doom and gloom when it comes to European industry, where European industry is at the moment. If you really kind of dig into the numbers, Europe remains a strong manufacturing hub, but it is, of course, increasingly under pressure from competition abroad. Within that kind of advanced manufacturing focus, we found that the industry, so really manufacturing firms that utilize some of the most advanced technologies, are concentrated in 3 regions. So 3/4 of manufacturing firms are either based in the US, the EU, or specifically China. So this industry, as we understood it in terms of the report, is really quite concentrated. Now, if you then dig in further into Europe, we see especially 4 countries that are quite represented in the European sample. So over 60% of advanced manufacturing activity in Europe happens either in Germany, Spain, France, or Italy. So again, we see this industry being quite concentrated, not only in terms of manufacturing regions internationally, but also actually within the European Union. Now, there is a lot of kind of strengths that Europe has in terms of innovation. I think it was from 2009 to 2023. The EU accounted for over 18,000 patents specifically in the manufacturing area. So when it comes to innovation, we have the brains, we have the talent. One of the issues identified in the report, though, is of course scaling, and we hear this time and time again. The issue is that those European firms that really are innovative, have the scale up capacity, are not scaling to the same degree that they could be doing in Europe, as for example we see in the States or in other jurisdictions. So we found with global venture capital, so really innovative money reaching firms with a lot of potential globally, if they invest 10 euros, so international capital 10 euros, only one of those 10 euros ends up in European-based firms. So that's a little bit some of the constraints that we're working with, some of the constraints that are highlighted in the report. But just very, very quickly to kind of wrap up this first point on the report. I would urge, of course, people to read it. We have an executive summary at the start as well, that really kind of highlights the points. But one of the slightly more innovative things, I guess you could say, with this report is it's accompanied with an online tool. So if you want to find either specific data on technologies, specific data on sectors, specific data on what's happening in either member states or in regions, you can use the online tool to really dig into the data set and draw some insights for your own purposes. So I would urge you to take a look at the report. Maybe Julia, I don't know if you've shared the link to the page, or you can just Google Advanced Manufacturing European Commission. It will come up as the first thing, and then feel free to play a little bit around with the data and also interact with some of the numbers.
Thank you, Cesare. Yes, I'll share the link also to the report later. I will do it now, but I'm sharing my screen with the slides, so I can't do two things at the same time. I'm sorry, but yes, indeed, you will receive later the link to the report. Feel free to read it, and then if you have any questions for Cesare, I see already there was one hand raised, but maybe we do the questions at the end of the session if you don't mind. But then maybe now I move to Edgaras to ask whether he has any comments, or if, especially on what Cesare just presented, and if that Edgaras, you're based in Lithuania, so maybe if what Cesare presented, you see it also national level in Lithuania.
Yeah. So hello to all participants, and it's an honor to be here today with you. But I have several, let's say, comments regarding the report shortly presented by Cesar. So one is data collection methodology. So for me, it's totally new, and I think for most of the readers, those with let's say, try to find out interesting insight from the report. It also be new one. Also, sources of the data is in most cases is it's firm level data and global patent database. Am I right, Cesar? So why I'm saying that? Because from our side, and I guess from smaller European Union members like Lithuania or others, we also have our own, let's say, surveys or reports. And for example, in Lithuania, we have a great manufacturing digitalization index. We let's say combine it every year, and for example last year we have a report, and we use, let's say, survey-based data collection method, and sources, it's always based on our company's responses, and in most cases, it's small and medium-sized companies. In Europe, we also have the same situation that 90, I guess, more than 96 plus percent of all the companies are small and medium-sized. So for our companies, if we are going to them and trying, to find out the opinions and views on advanced manufacturing, so how they can, let's say, improve the competitiveness and of course operations. So it's now a situation when we came with a list of let's say advanced technologies and asked them what are the most important from your point of view. So for example, in our case, companies say that of course artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and let's say, Internet of Things are the most important ones. And for example, robotics or 3D printing technologies is technologies in which we as Lithuania companies or group of Lithuania companies are lagging, and nowadays we are still trying, let's say, to strengthen our position in using this technology. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Edgaras. I don't know, Cesar, if you want to comment, or I just merge it with my next and last question for you. If you have any advice for companies that, I mean, here today in the audience, we have digital solution providers of all the technologies we mentioned so far, but we also have companies that are trying to digitalize. So what would be your piece of advice for them? Any tools you want to share, or resources or support they can find alongside, for example, these kind of events? I don't know who wants to go first. It's the same for me.
So maybe I can start that, it's let's say we also have some success stories in advanced manufacturing in Lithuania, and one of the companies Teltonika, and Teltonika last year we signed, let's say, agreement with Taiwanese Institute of Research, and it let's say our company to produce chips here in Europe. We have a crisis of chips manufacturing, so it helps us, and of course it will produce by using advanced manufacturing technologies. So this success story is based mostly on our, let's say, government support. So what happens that our government signed an international collaboration agreement with Taiwan, and it was, let's say, as one of the security or provider security for our partners. And of course we need to find, let's say, people or companies those are able, to do investment, first of all, by themselves, and of course to have capacity and capabilities to create, let's say, a new factory to produce this products, with chips. And if we are talking about digital transformation, practical steps, so I am representing one of European Digital Innovation Hub. So I can say that from my, let's say, subjective view, that please come take a look what digital innovation hubs are, let's say, in your area. Please go to them. Please take, let's say, their advice, ask for their recommendations, and it's smart people working in this, let's say, organizations, and then they can help you with that. Of course, there are other things like, trying to do a lobby thing with our government and let's say institutions. Both are responsible for that, but there are always experts or let's say people those are ready to help, and it's a surprise, but they are, how to say, you can find it next corner from you.
Maybe I can just jump in building on that. That's no, it's really it's a really good point. In fact, one of the things I jotted down as well was exactly the digital innovation hub. So I would just double down on that message, really, that they are a great network. They're out there. They're there to support firms. So really make use of the digital innovation hubs. And yeah, no, as was mentioned, they are a node of knowledge. So so that's that's definitely one, I think, perhaps more for firms, you know, to be able to reach out to. But then specifically just also for firms, I mean, engage with the European associations that you're connected with, you know, for example, digital SME. I mean, you know, communicate if there are issues, if there are bottlenecks, you know, because we have dialogues with digital SME, other trade associations. We're also trying to understand, you know, what are some of the real crunch points for our industry to really lower manufacturing costs, to help scale up, either, you know, deploying new technologies, finding expertise for new technologies, you know, these types of things. So having that open dialogue with the European associations around you is a good way to pass messages on to us, you know, because, you know, I work specifically on, you know, digital industry and advanced manufacturing, but of course we collaborate also with colleagues, you know, working to help reduce energy prices, reduce administrative burdens. So, you know, tap into your not only digital innovation hubs, but also your European trade associations. And, you know, that I think is a good way to try to help us help you and exactly deliver on what we mentioned towards the start, which is supporting you, doing, you know, more time for business and less time for you know, paperwork and hassle. That's a little bit the kind of business case that we want to promote. So I think those would be the two recommendations from my side.
Thank you, Cesare. Thank you, Edgaras. Well, indeed, we are happy to support any company alongside also the European Entrepreneurs CEA-PME to communicate with European institutions in this case. But for example, in the case of Edgaras, is more also with the Lithuanian national government to make sure that, you know, the voice of companies is heard and the problems we're experiencing in the daily life are addressed properly. I saw there was a question or a hand raised from Loredana. I don't know, Loredana, if you want to speak or you had a question. I think I gave you the right to speak.
Yeah, hello. Sorry, but I did not raise the hand.
Okay, then sorry.
No problem.
Well, then, if there are no other questions in the chat, I would thank both our speakers. So thank you, Cesare, thank you, Edgaras, for being here today. I would be happy if you could stay the rest of the event to listen also to the pitches from the other companies. And yes, thank you for joining.
Thanks for invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on, now we have a pitching session with 3 SMEs that will showcase their solutions. The first one is Optima Software, a company oriented towards the development and implementation of software products. Today with us we have Ovidio Pintea, who is CEO of Optima Software, and he will delve deeper into their company, their business. So we will share the slides, and Ovidio, when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Sophia and Digital SME for giving me the opportunity to present my company in this event. If you want, I could share the same screen, but nevertheless, it's okay to.
If you prefer to share, I can stop sharing and you can go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to make
easy.
myself the change of, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Sorry, it looks like you disabled the screen sharing.
Now you should be able to.
Okay. That's much better. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I would like to continue the comments made by Cesare and Edgaras. My company is a founding member of Cluj IT Cluster, which is allow me to dare to say this, is the most important cluster in Romania. And this cluster is located in Cluj, in the northwestern region of Romania. And just to make an idea about how important is this region, is the only Romanian region to have 2 digital innovation hubs financed by the European Commission. We have, in fact, 2 financed projects just running now in our region. Speaking about my company, the company was founded at the beginning of this century, but in fact, it was reactivated some 2 years ago as a spin-off of a mother company called Optima Software. And we inherited, in fact, not only the team from Optima Group, Cluj, but also the software products we developed from the beginning till current date. We used to develop and to implement software products with our own IP for very important companies, multinational companies like Asahi, breweries like British American Tobacco, Mueller, or Good Meals. Of course, our presence is most visible in Romania, but we still have some customers abroad, and we hope to get some other customers or partners through the events and communication with the Digital SME Alliance. As I said, our company is oriented to product development. You have on the slide the most important products we have on our portfolio. We started some 20 years ago with the Salesforce automation platform, which now is on the way to become a CRM, but with a strong mobile application, which is working not only on the web. The second product is a warehouse management system, which is called Optimal Depot Hub. This is oriented rather to small and medium warehouses. But we are on the way to extend it with more complex functionality in the future. The third product is Optimal Data Hub, which is a combination of an EDI system altogether with the portal for distributors. We are, in fact, just on the way to implement this product to Friesland Campina, Romania. And on top of all of these products is the Optimal Data Sphere, which is the newest and the most important product developed by my company. In fact, this product was financed through a project, through a call in the last 2 years in collaboration with Babes-Bolyai University. By the way, Babes-Bolyai University is the most important Romanian university with more than 50,000 students. And I think that the size of this tells you a lot about the importance of Cluj as an IT center in Romania. The financing of the project was almost 1.5 million euros, and we developed this Optimal Data Sphere platform, which is in fact a forecasting software product based on AI and big data. Of course, my intention is to speak more about this product, but nevertheless, the other 2 products are also available for implementation in any foreign country because we have a special policy about having English as the main language and the local language as the second one. Now, coming back to Optimal Data Sphere, I will not insist on the key features because this slide tells a lot about the functionality of it. In fact, these are quite straightforward steps in using the platform. The first step is defining the business you want to model and we want to forecast, defining the business entities, defining the key performance indicators, identifying the influence parameters of the business. The second step is importing the data from different sources, both internal and external sources for the given company. Of course, the third step is in training the machine learning. In fact, we are using the supervised machine learning models in order to identify the influence parameters on the historical data of that business. Then, after identifying and quantifying these influence parameters, we are going to the next step, which means to forecast the evolution of the KPIs for a given period of time. I would say that it should be minimum for 6 months, but probably not more than 2 years. By allowing the platform to perform this forecast, we obtain what we are calling the basic scenario of the KPIs evolution. But the platform is even more useful because it allows the user to play with what we call business events. For example, we know what happened with the business due to COVID. Not only know as a feeling, but also quantify. We have numbers about the influence of COVID or Ukrainian or the war in Ukraine on some businesses. But in this way, we can model some business events like, I don't know, having the national bank in Romania not keeping the exchange rate at the controlled level as it is now. Nevertheless, by having these business scenarios, we obtain what we call the alternative scenarios. And I will show you later on some screen about how it will look, the output of the platform in presenting these scenarios to the user. Okay, I was including here some screens. I will not insist on them because they are only reflecting the steps I already mentioned. You can see here, for example, the evaluation, the quantitative evaluation of all influence parameters for some dairy business in Romania. And nevertheless, here you can see how the platform allows the user to play with business events. What we have here is that given the evolution of weather in the future, the user says, okay, what happened if the average temperature in the future will be 1 degree higher, 1 Celsius degree higher than the given forecasted one. Okay, so we have some dashboards available to the user. With blue, you can see here the historical evolution of some volume KPI or sales KPI, and with the orange, you can see the prediction for the future. And here you can see the 3 scenarios. The main one, as I said, is the basic scenario of prediction, and 2 alternative scenarios. We can make even the split of the evolution for given geographical regions because we are taking into account not, as I said, not only internal parameters of the business we model, but also external parameters like number of people in the area, like the revenue of those people, like gender and age classification, and so on. Like I don't know, touristic regions, etc., etc. We have in mind a future version, but I will not insist on that. And of course, the last part of my presentation is regarding what we are looking for. We are looking for customers, of course. And I think that our platforms are ready for any kind of customer in any country. And we are looking for partners, not only selling partners, but also technical partners for post-implementation services. Thank you very much, and sorry for being a little bit longer than the allocated time.
Thank you very much, Ovidio. Great presentation. I will quickly move on to the next one, so I give also the other speakers the time to explain their presentations. So we have the second company, who is Striza, and the CEO is Max Steinhoff, who will illustrate how they leverage AI to convert technical knowledge into real-time adaptive workflows, empowering manufacturing workers. Please,
yeah.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen? I just shared. Okay, great. Amazing. Yeah, well, thank you also for giving me the opportunity to present, and hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, and yeah, just briefly try to share a little bit with you how we at Striza help manufacturers to basically make the most of their frontline workers. Because like shortly about myself and us, I guess, because I am one of the founders from Striza. I'm Muniops, my co-founder, and we both have like year-long experiences actually in process modeling, process engineering. My co-founder more from the technical side as a developer, me more from the product management side. And now with Striza, we actually work with several manufacturers or well-known manufacturers here in Germany, but also in Belgium, Denmark. We have some customers in the UK to basically help them face one of the clearest challenges, like the skilled labor shortage. But maybe before diving into that, to break also up a little bit, I can unfortunately not see here like the people while I'm presenting, but I would just ask anyone here in the call to think if you might have seen Tesla's recent presentation, you know, their shareholder event showcasing Atlas, the robot. I think that was kind of like a very, you know, media event. For the people that didn't see it, fundamentally, I think that's kind of Elon Musk and Tesla's vision on how the future of manufacturing looks like and the future of work. So you have a lot of these autonomous robots acting as workers, basically doing everything. The reality, though, I guess, is a little bit more grim. At the event, the robots were actually like remote controlled, and Tesla actually at the same time, and I brought a story here from our hometown Berlin, is desperately looking for skilled workers. So this is an article a couple of months old from here, German magazine in Berlin, where Tesla is actually trying to employ unemployed people, you know, as production workers, technicians, machine operators. So, you know, that company, which is very much at the forefront, at least in their mind, of automation, is highly reliant on workers. And that's actually an issue that the whole industry is facing, as I think most of you people know. So millions of jobs will go unfilled. It's a huge, huge cost factor on productivity. Most factories are actually targeted, but even more keenly, that's actually already happening in Germany. So 1/3, actually going a little bit more than 1/3 at this point already, this is like an outdated statistics, is already struggling to find skilled workers for their production. And what happens really, and I think the core of this issue is, yes, you have an issue of like finding qualified people, but what you even more have is a loss of knowledge. Because just due to demographic changes and other things, experienced workers leave the company, and with them, critical operational know-how. So how to operate machines, how to do proper maintenance, how to manage along the vast production portfolio that many companies have built up. And the result of these people are leaving are often higher downtimes, there are more errors on the production line, and especially if you're now bringing in more people, even in this Tesla's example of unemployed people, potentially people that are not even qualified to work in that space, you have exploding costs in onboarding and training. But obviously I wouldn't talk about all of this if we would not try to solve it a little bit, because this is kind of where Striza is coming in. which fundamentally is a AI-powered knowledge and workflow management software. A lot of words, but what it really means is the software acts as a coworker or kind of like a co-pilot to the manufacturing staff on their shift and during their day-to-day, and acts kind of as this companion that allows them to easily transfer knowledge, capturing it from existing one to the other one, but also automatically trains workers while they're performing activities, and in the end also allows to improve operational processes continuously. Now, the key part, obviously, how are we doing this? Fundamentally, the application works in 3 ways. So on the one end, we have implemented modern LLM tools and actually our own NLP engine to allow to generate interactive digital work instructions from all the existing knowledge files your typical manufacturer has. So you can actually upload to the tool any kind of Word, PDF, even CSV or Excel files to kind of pre-configure a digital knowledge base of all the content, or in the end, the knowledge that you already have in some tangible asset or activity. But you can also actually obviously also use modern media. So if you have some videos, if you have some pictures or something, you can upload them with these files accompanied. And what Strizer is doing is we pre-configure these files into these dynamic workflows. So these are in the end step-by-step visual work instructions for a variety of different use cases. And I come to that in a second. But with that step, you're already kind of like getting a super fast digitalization step and have like kind of captured that knowledge that you might have distributed across different systems or distributed across some files. We cross-reference them with everything that you upload to see, even if there are redundancies, what might be the most up-to-date file. But I think the most interesting part actually happens then in the next step. And I think that's also the most crucial thing if you think about empowering workers in manufacturing today with increases of higher technical machinery and higher requirements for them, is that we actually in real time adapt each of these instructions and these workflows that we're creating to the specific context of the worker. So we take a couple of input factors. You have skill profiles that you can set up as a manager for certain staffs or shifts, but we also draw data from, again, your shift management tool if you have it, or from an ERP system or order management to get like a precise order of different activities and tasks related to it, all the way down to language preferences. And also in the end, kind of how many the shift is actually stacked in terms of workers. And all this information is actually then passed to the system to kind of configure what the individual worker is seeing. And the simplest fashion or simplest example is that a very experienced worker, for example, having to do a complex maintenance routine at a machine might actually just get a short checklist of the individual areas of the machine that they need to check, maybe with some configuration values or some testing values that I have, and kind of as a digital checklist runs through. The same file, though, for somebody who is, for example, just been onboarded a month or 2 months ago, and now should at least participate in this activity, would get from that engine kind of parts of that task list, and get that in a way more blown up fashion. So every kind of context information that we have from the existing files, like descriptions, pictures, videos, would be shown. They would have an automatic, check, or like, let's say, confirm step, where a supervisor has to actually confirm that they did the activity properly. But it stays the same knowledge file. And that's, I think, the key importance for also maintaining a working knowledge system and knowledge base, because that brings me to the last point. By having the personalization of the knowledge file that works for everyone, but staying the same data entities or the same document in the end in our means, it allows us to kind of actually update that continuously. So it's not 10 files that you created and then they're like in some different areas. It's one file that can just show in different visualizations. And now when people interact with it, the system is also asking or prompting feedback from workers. How were they going through, if they had some issues, if they had some issues with the instructions themselves, but it also cross-references with target times, with our error messages you do, to fundamentally continuously improve the workflow and the documents that are behind that. Also, workers can give feedback on that one. They can also upload other files. And so you can grow these different documents and these knowledge files continuously without actually having to fear that you put all this effort in to set up your new knowledge base and then it's not really used. And we basically applied that approach to a variety of use cases. I mean, I mention here the kind of like most, come up with like that we are working with. So they are typically related to a, semi to fully automated manufacturing context in the process industry. So we have like a lot of line changeover use cases, but I mean, maintenance, as I mentioned, up to, center lining activities like setups, all the way down to more audit relevant inspection activities. But what we see across all of these use cases is a fundamental reduction in documentation efforts. So workers have way more time because they don't need to fill out, certain reports multiple times. They don't need to look for information. They need to ask people, which all then in the end also results into less downtime because you can perform the activities faster. You can also kind of parallelize activities, distribute them to people, bring in people that potentially are not trained to perform certain activities. So you can have really like load sharing across the whole staff. And because the system is also kind of learning how you interact with the tool and continuously kind of suggest new activities, but also takes away potentially these context information to get to new people, we can actually train workers in certain activities, why they perform them, so they get more proficient in, for example, these use cases, why they're doing them, while we can also take care that they're actually not making any errors. And yeah, that's kind of more or less it. Obviously, I have way more information to share potentially for people who are interested. One last bit of information is that we just try to make it as easy as possible for any manufacturer to kind of try out and see and use the tool, because what we just learned is you can show a lot of demos, and I'm also happy to give you demos and give you more look into the product. But I think the best insight you gain into what kind of AI for your frontline workers can do is when you actually just try it and give it into the hands of your colleagues. And so we kind of developed a pilot program that, in just 8 weeks, so less than 4 weeks of setup, and then like even months or even longer if you like, you can already like have that tool running on your shop floor with the people you need. You don't need much IT resources. We can do that completely on our own. We don't need to really work with them. That's obviously something that's important later. And you can just test out the tool in a very, very fast fashion. And if you're actually not happy, people would reimburse you any kind of like money that you could potentially take upfront for some customization if you did. And so, yeah, here are my contact details. Obviously, I'm available afterwards. Happy to talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. Very interesting presentation. I see in the chat that someone is already interested in connecting with you, so I'm sure there will be more people reaching out later. Moving on, we have the last speaker of this session, who is Vasilia Platova, account manager at Mangrovia Blockchain Solutions, which is an innovative technology company specializing in the development of blockchain-based frameworks for enterprise applications. Vasilia, just tell me if you prefer to share your screen or if you want us to...
I think I can share the screen myself as the other ones, so that
Thank you.
maybe it's easier. Okay, now I think you should see it. So first of all, obviously, thank you, SME, for having me too. What I will talk about today is actually how Mangrovia is implementing cutting-edge technologies, especially in the field of supply chain logistics and manufacturing. So first of all, who is Mangrovia? Mangrovia is, as Julia kindly anticipated, is a software house specialized in designing and implementing innovative technologies such as blockchain, AI, and machine learning. We aim to provide, obviously, agile and sustainable digital solutions that integrate seamlessly with legacy IT systems. And obviously, our main goal is that of bringing business efficiency to manage data in a secure, transparent, and verifiable manner. Actually, we have come from the first years of our activity where we concentrated on R&D and custom projects, but this kind of experience led us to creating what you see here, which are our two distinct frameworks. Namely, we have on one side Atom, which is our permission blockchain framework, which is particularly suited for enterprise solutions because in this case we have chosen Hyperledger Fabric which is a technology that obviously still holds all the features of a classic blockchain technology, which I think you all know nowadays, which are security, transparency, and so on. But this kind of blockchain also gives the possibility to companies to still hold the governance over the processes, because obviously in a big business application, companies may want the security and transparency, but still want to have the possibility of orchestrating what's happening inside the company. On the other side, we have Chainkeeper, which is a public chain agnostic framework that enables integration and use of any kind of public blockchain in this case, which means it gives you the possibility of minting NFTs, creating tokens, creating personalized smart contracts, and so on. Some use cases of this kind of framework are, for example, the creation of decentralized communities or the issuing of parametric insurances, but I won't dive into these topics today because this is the main focus of our meeting. But still, if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. Now, coming to the supply chain landscape, here you see some numbers. Obviously, we all know that the manufacturing, supply chain, logistics panorama is evolving rapidly. Some challenges are still there, and even some new challenges are being born. Here, I think a couple of interesting facts are, on one side, the counterfeit problem, which is still there, and it's even increasing because we have seen that due to the fact that a share of consumers nowadays has lost their purchase power, sometimes this leads to them preferring counterfeit goods over the original one, obviously for economic reasons. I think here another interesting number is that about the small businesses, which is obviously the main topic of this meeting, because almost half of the small businesses still don't have proper system to, for example, manage their inventory. They still use Excels or even paperwork, which obviously, as you can imagine, often leads to issues, problems, and delays. So, how are we facing as Mangrove these kind of challenges? We have actually many different kind of applications of our technologies that solve many different challenges. I wanted to go directly to some examples of our projects so that I give you an idea of actually what concretely you can do with such a technology. The first example is about textile waste recycling company who wanted to create a platform to manage the whole process. It is a really complex process. It involves many stakeholders, and it also gives the possibility of giving the visibility of the whole process to the final client, which is the fashion brand. So here the goal is creating a structure that goes from the waste collecting to the final recycled product, giving the possibility to the company of having the whole control of what's happening, and also giving the possibility to the brand to have the visibility whether their commissioned product, at what stage it is, was the waste collected, is it sorted, and so on. And last but not least, they can also make the most of this data because they actually can also use this kind of data to create value for their recycled product. Because nowadays the storytelling, the trust of the consumers has become obviously fundamental in such businesses. So it's a kind of big advantage to have such data. The second use case I wanted to talk about is Trackit, which is a project promoted by the Italian government. It involves the industries of food, fashion, cosmetics, and design. It involves small, medium enterprises that product their products in Italy, so made in Italy products. What we have been doing here is providing our data framework for difficult purpose, because obviously these four industries are really different among each other and have different processes and supply chain. And what was needed, it was a platform that could give the possibility of to any of them to create their own tracking system. So what we did here is creating a separate environment for each brand that onboarded on the project. And besides this, on top of that, we have a user, which is the government body that oversees the project, that has its own credentials to have the whole overseeing over what's happening in each brand. And finally, each brand then uses this kind of platform and the data they are collecting to promote, obviously, their products abroad. Finally, the last use case I'm bringing is the one with an Italian tannery, which is actually amazing. They are really sustainable. They do everything in-house. They do produce even their own energy. They use hydroelectric energy. And obviously, as you can imagine, they wanted to give value to these practices, but also to solve some challenges, because they told us that they had some problems, because in this case, we are talking about a player that is at the point zero of the supply chain, while their customers are, in this case, two fashion brands that are at the end of this process. In between, we have many other players that do many other processes after the tannery provides the leather. So what happened here? They, as I said, are really virtuous, sustainable, and so on. They do all the tests correctly. They communicate the test they make to their clients. But what happened is that sometimes some clients claim that they received some products that didn't meet the quality standards that were communicated. So what we imagined happened here, obviously they told we are we are the best quality you may have. How could this happen? It's obviously because someone along the supply chain did something wrong, did something fraudulent. And how could we help this kind of situation? Creating digital label of this leather that holds all the information, the processing, the cattle that they're using, and so on, the tests, the chemical tests, chemical solutions that they're using. And then they can use this kind of tool to communicate in real time to their client what they are sending out. So the quality, the quantity of the leather they're sending out, so that it's obviously it gets more difficult for the other players along the supply chain to give the guilt to the tannery. So here, in conclusion, as you may have imagined, we do really different kind of applications with many different kind of perks. I hope that something of what I told you about today maybe resonated in your head with some new kind of ideas. So please feel free to contact me. I will be happy to discuss any kind of new point of view, challenge, and whatever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fadila. Since we are running a bit out of time, we'll just like to thank you all the speakers for their insights, for sharing their stories and expertise. And I would like also to thank all the participants for being here today. Before closing, I would just like to mention that we are going to have the last event of this B2B matchmaking series on the 28th of November. The focus will be on energy efficiency, and if you're interested and you are already registered on our matchmaking platform, you will receive an email with all the information as soon as the event is published, and so you can register if you're interested. Without further ado, just if you encounter any issues during the matchmaking session, here on the slide you can see the email address that you can contact, and we will try to address any issue in the shortest delay. So thank you again for joining today. I hope you will enjoy the matchmaking session. And if you need anything, you can always reach out to us. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.